Oh, hopefully that worked and you're here. Thanks for joining. I'm Bay Mud, and I said I'd never do it, but this is a modular synth kit. Apologies for technical difficulties for those of you who wanted to join the stream earlier. I've been fighting that whole vertical versus horizontal orientation thing that YouTube seems to want to force upon me. Maybe I'll try OBS next time. But anyway, if you're here, I appreciate it. We're just going to dive right in for anyone who wants to watch again later. But like I said, I've said for years I would never build or get into Eurorack modular stuff, and slowly over time my willpower has chipped away, especially when I caught wind of the Music Thing modular workshop system. And again, as always, I blame my pal Phil for this. So thanks, Phil. He bought one, showed it to me, and I couldn't resist getting a kit of my own. The rationale here, of course, is that it's a Eurorack modular synth, but it is standalone in the sense that when you build it, it sits in its own little case and there's no more room for anything else. So you can't even add more modules if you wanted. So there's theoretically only so far down the rabbit hole you can go. But as you can see, I've already jumped ahead and built a bunch of this because the whole build would take a couple hours. And I wanted to be able to finish it so you get a sense of the build itself while also being able to test it and patch it for the first time and make sure this thing actually worked. So let's get to it, I guess. And as usual, let's just going to make an adjustment here. As usual, I'm going to go through the tools and things that you might need just in case you want to do this yourself as well. So I've got my trusty soldering iron here with these easily removable tips. It wasn't very expensive and it's temperature controlled, so you can build and adjust the temperature depending on what you're working on or how large the board is, what type of solder, etc. I've got my solder here. This is leaded solder because I've always worked with that in Canada and it's easy to get here and easy to work with. We've also got, I have an exhaust fan for sucking away solder fumes. I mentioned this in the first stream I did with the Synth UX Academy kit, but I won't use it. That's part of the reason why I did most of this build already, because this is loud. So I didn't want to build this whole thing without using the fume extractor, but also didn't want this to be the only sound you can hear on the live stream. So I do use a fume extractor and I do recommend it for pulling solder fumes away from you when you're building something. So also we're going to use some tape. Clear tape today is pretty handy when building this. And Tom Whitwell, who designed this system for Thonk, Music Thing Modular, does have a great video where he builds this in real time over about 3 hours. So I've followed along with a lot of that and skipped ahead already. So it's very handy, and I won't go through all the tips and tricks that he goes over in that video, but if you're interested in one of these and want to build one yourself, that video is crucial for following along. I've got my snips here. I've got some little screwdrivers and things here as well. This is the power supply board that you kind of put together quickly first with the standoffs. Everything comes pre-soldered onto this board. You don't have to worry about doing the headers or the jacks and things like that. So you're all set, and we can test this easily very soon. And the same with these boards, actually. As you can see, you get a lot of stuff pre-soldered, like a lot of the hard stuff, the chips and the passive components like capacitors and resistors are done already for you via surface mount machine soldering, I assume. And you are left to do the other larger passives like the jacks and switches and things like that. So I'll just dump those out into here so you can see kind of what we're working with. Each of the individual module boards comes with these handy bags, so you can stay very organized if you're doing it one at a time. So here you've got things like your mono jacks for your modular patching. Here's some stereo. The green ones are stereo for usually for inputs or maybe a stereo headphone outputs. We'll have a couple of those in this case. And then you've got your potentiometers or trimmers, LEDs, and then there'll be another bag with all your jacks and things like that. So, and this little tool will be handy for doing those because I never had a banana jack or castle nut tool before. I had to 3D print one, which there's a handy link to that in the Discord for the Music Thing Modular system. The workshop system has a great Discord. That was part of the reason I joined. If you're wondering, hey, you said you'd never get into Eurorack or Modular, why are you doing this? Well, that system, having a good community and an active Discord is something that always will entice me. So that's what I love about the Deluge or the Woof Box or some other items as well. So that really kind of got me going into this community as well, because this computer module is really part of the main draw, and you can use little cards to add different programs to this computer and make this into something completely different, and the community can code and share those things with everybody. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, we're basically just going to get started here. Just making sure my angle's okay. You don't need to be seeing too much of the mess on the floor. And yeah, feel free to drop in the chat, say hi or whatever if you're around. I'll try to respond back as I'm doing this. A couple other tools that we'll need as we go. I've been using these rocket sockets. This one I 3D printed because I've used this size for the jacks so much that it has worn away. This one, the PLA didn't hold up so well, so I'm going to try again in PETG or PETG. And then this little guy is for the jacks or the nuts on these jacks, because they have the little detents and they're not hex nuts. So it's like a banana nut or a castle nut. So yeah, you need a couple little tools. And because Phil built his first, I learned that the faceplate can scratch if you don't use something maybe more plastic or soft to adjust everything and tighten everything. So I've learned from him. Thank you again, Phil. So why don't we get to it? Put any questions in the chat if you hopefully can hear me. And maybe I'll start it off by just saying hi. There we go. Kicked it off. Okay, so I've poured out the components. We've got our semi-built system here with some tools and things around me. And I'm going to... Hello, thanks for joining. Everyone's so shy in the chat, but that's very nice that people are here, because I did have some technical difficulties. This is only the second live stream I've ever tried. And the first one, I had a great time, but I didn't realize it was vertical. So it was mobile first. So I was really trying to not be mobile first for this stream. And that's why we're a little late, but here we are. So like I said, a lot of this is the final board. There are 4 individual boards in this kit, and they're divided depending on what mod grouping they have, I guess. So the computer, the oscillators, and the amp, the filters, and this one contains the slopes and the mixer. So this is the final board to really get us to the system. And honestly, I thought it would take me a lot longer to build this thing, so I figured I would do it in stages. But the first night I started soldering, and by the time I had watched a couple shows, I was done most of this, and I had to stop because I wanted to do some of this on a live stream. So I figured this won't take too long because most of the components are already done, and we're just doing the larger passives. One thing after watching that video on how to do this is we want, for the LEDs, we want them to sit a certain height. So I had prepped some pieces of tape that are now stuck to my desk here, but we can, oh yeah, Eurorack is definitely a rabbit hole. It's kind of what scared me off of doing this for a long time. Because I know once you get down that rabbit hole, it's expensive, it's never ending. And the joke would be that you can spend a lot less to get something that can do similar, in terms of a non Eurorack or modular synth. But in this case, I'm taking the calculated risk that the workshop system is so self-contained and the community is so great with that computer module that I will always feel satiated in my experiments, because I'll have so many options just with this little system, and I can't add to it without getting another case and another power supply, and that's always stopped me from getting into modular anyway. Okay, so I've got my 2 little pieces of tape, and that's going to be helpful when we put these LEDs in. As you can see, the LEDs for the computer module and the amp, they're sitting nice and flush there, and that was all courtesy of tape. So now let's populate these boards. Okay, so as you can see, we've got different colors of jacks, different sizes and colors of trimmers and potentiometers. So the boards are really well labeled. Everything is really well thought out and easy as possible, I think. I'm not saying this would be a good project as a first-time person soldering, but I do think that it is as easy as they could have made this, really. So everything, like you can see here, I'm popping in this B100 linear taper potentiometer because it's labeled. The next one I'll find will be another B100 is labeled on the potentiometer. And I could measure these if I was really worried, but I'm not. So you can see if you can see, the labeling on this is very well done. So I'm looking for, this is a metal potentiometer with B100K, and that's right there, metal pot B100K. And I simply have to slot in. Sometimes you got to bend the extra legs a little bit, and there, that's in, and that's not going anywhere, even though I haven't soldered it. So we can populate this board to a certain degree without doing any soldering. I'll do all the metal potentiometers first. This should be an audio taper 100K, because that's what we have left. Dual pot A100K. And you can see, hopefully, this is a dual pot, as in it has 6 legs, meaning it's controlling 2 resistors, basically. And that just slots in just like that, nice and easily. Parm Digital, do you have any Eurorack on your own already, or is this a curiosity for you as well, if you're still there, as I just continue prepping these? This is the B100. Now we're into the short trimmer, they call it. Just curiosity. Okay, that was me for a long time, and I suggest learn from my adventure rather than diving in. I'll keep you posted on how it goes. You'll see some videos when I get this system up and running, I'm sure. But yeah, the safe space with modular to me is on the sidelines, but I am breaking my own rules because I am a gear nerd with too much gas. Okay, Portugal. Yeah, I've always wanted to go there. I've almost gone there a couple times actually, but not been able to make it yet. So maybe someday. But it is interesting how gear prices do fluctuate. I would have thought maybe it'd be cheaper for you because you're closer in proximity to, this is a UK-based company. So I would have assumed maybe it'd be easier for you to get a hold of than it would be for me in Canada. But who knows? I know currency exchange and duties and shipping and stuff usually hurt Canadian buyers quite a bit, but we still have a good supply, I think, and some good retailers that I can get stuff from. But I'm never sure how other countries do it or how it works. Oh, you see, I've already done something wrong because I'm chatting at the same time. I put these in all upside down, but I haven't soldered them, so it doesn't matter. So the board is very easy to do, but you still do have to pay attention. Otherwise, certain things won't fit. But that's no one's fault but my own for not reading. Yeah, okay, so we're getting back on track here, and I have to watch because there are 2 different values of these short trimmer pots, A or B100 and a B25K, I believe. So I have to make sure I don't put those in the wrong spot. Like there's a B25K, and I know that goes right there. And this should be, there's another B100. That goes right there, and we should be one more B25K. And there we go. I guess the only other foray into modular or semi-modular that I've done is the Modern Sounds Pluto is kind of a semi-modular or modular standalone thing, though. I consider it kind of its own unit, and I think that'll work well with this, actually. Oh, yeah, okay, so Brexit has hurt the relationship of trade and things like that, I imagine, so stuff is a bit tricky. I can totally understand that being the case. It's too bad, but yeah, hopefully you can get a hold of something that'll be, if you want, if you decide to go down this never-ending rabbit hole, hopefully you can get a hold of something at some point that satisfies your curiosity. I don't know if you saw the Synth UX Academy Simple Touch that I built. That was a really cool kit, and that came from Netherlands, I believe. That was like 140 euros, I think, and it can do a lot of cool stuff. It's not modular, so you're not going to get sucked into that rabbit hole, but does do some kind of open source firmware coding and stuff. You can take advantage of a good community there as well. So that's kind of something you could look into if you want to get into kits and building and stuff like that. Have you done any soldering or any building of other stuff? Oh, right on. Okay. Oh no, I haven't tried the NTS one, but I've heard so many good things about it over time. So I feel like one day I'll have to get a hold of one. A lot of people seem to really enjoy using that one. Okay, I think I've got almost all the pots in, or everything in but the LEDs. Oh, and there's a couple switches. Should be a couple switches. Where did those end up? Well, we'll do some LEDs here. The long leg on these LEDs is the plus symbol on the board, and that's something to pay attention to. It's very, again, well laid out and easy, but in this case, I have to flip them so that they're oriented correctly. One is one way, one is the other way. And I'm just slotting these in. Oh, I need a couple more here. Gotta find where the rest of my parts went. There's the other LED. Oh yeah, so computer stuff. That's something I haven't really gotten into too much. Hey, Phil's here. The reason that we're doing this. Oh, you know what I did wrong already? This is going to be dumb. I didn't put the power headers in. I got to chatting too much and didn't put the power header. So I'm going to take these short trimmers out. That's all I'll have to take out to do this, but I'm going to take these out. I haven't soldered anything in, so it's pretty easy so far. And now I can do the power headers so that this thing can actually receive power and connect to the rest of the system. So that just slots in there like that. Pretty simple. And some of the LED legs will make this a bit harder because of the way I've not prepped in advance for this, but we will orient this here. Yeah, power is important. Hey, Ron's here too. Nice. I haven't seen Ron in a while. How's it going, Ron? Thanks for stopping by. Are you going to laugh as I descend into the world of modular? Turning on the old soldering iron and knocking stuff over. And then I have to track down where those momentary switches went that I don't seem to have yet, but we'll figure that out as we go. Nice. Yeah, you're at work. That's good. I'm glad I can entertain you. I know Phil was just working as well. And yeah, semi-modular is something I've been curious about. I had a couple things that were kind of semi-modular, and that's a nice way to go. Something like the Neutron or some of the Moog units, like the Mother 32 and stuff like that, I guess. Oh, really? You haven't touched your big stuff and since you built this? I think that's Phil's way of trying to make me feel better about jumping down this rabbit hole with him. Okay, we're getting these pin headers soldered. They look good, so I'm just going to go ahead. Should have my exhaust fan on. Safety first, kids. Probably should be wearing a helmet and goggles too, knowing me and how I'll knock something over, but we're flying by the seat of our pants a little bit. But those power headers are in. That looks good. Now I can put the trimmers back in that I just took out, and I'll have to remember to watch their values so I don't put them in the wrong spot. It's funny how being nervous because the stream, like live streams are so much more nerve-wracking for me, obviously, because you're live. So, can't really edit, can't do much, especially when it doesn't go your way and you're fighting the orientation. And the workaround I had to figure out for YouTube to not automatically go vertical when I joined via my phone was very hacky. So I think someone on Reddit posted a couple tips, so I'm happy for it. But I think next time I'll try something a little different, maybe OBS, because now I'm flustered and I'm feeling like I gotta chill. I also had a big coffee right before this, and that's, you know, if I'm casting the blame anywhere, let's talk about the coffee consumption. Okay, I have to find the momentary for the toggle switches. Yeah, okay, I'll have to pick your brain, Ron, about OBS. There we go, toggles, because thank you very much. I appreciate your encouragement. Ron's always so nice to me. That's great. And yeah, if I'll try OBS next time, but cut it a little too short this time to get that going. But I'd love to do a multi-camera thing too. I think OBS would be handy for that. Like if I could actually maybe be on stream a little bit and you get to see more, or I could do a different angle where it's maybe a close-up of the board that I'm working on, say. Okay, so I totally just tore through those packages without reading what I was looking at here. So let's test these switches to know what I've now got. So, okay, these are normal three-way on, or on, off, on. Three position on, off, on. And then this is position on, off, momentary, which is cool. I've never had those switches before, but having used Phil's system, I know what they're for, which is super fun. And this, again, is so well labeled that I know exactly where everything's got to go. So I'm going to flip this upside down because I know this is what I'm looking at when I do it. And this is for the slopes, the momentary. And I know based on labeling, that's going to go right there. And then our other momentary, I want the momentary end of the toggle to be there based on labeling of the board, right? This is back, I said this on the last stream, but back in the day when I started building pedals and buying circuit boards, they were so janky. All the quality was rough, and kind of the labeling and the documentation, it's like nobody had figured out how to do that well yet for high success rates, especially for novices. And something like this is just so leaps and bounds over this type of stuff that I was building when I started out building pedals. And I still have some of those boards I've never finished, and I don't know that I'll ever bother with the quality that has gotten so much better in manufacturers and even small time little circuit providers and stuff. So as you can see with the prepping, everything just slots really nicely in easily. And now I can put a, well, speaking of prepping, I didn't prep this part very well because I need a jack to hold that balance. I need a jack or a nut and a washer. I'm going to put these on a couple of the potentiometers so they stay. Yeah, Phil, you've made thonk kits before other than this, like the Turing Machine original one, maybe? Because it seems like they know what they're doing in terms of kits. That's like so foolproof. Oh, I didn't do something else too. I'm going to back this up a bit. I'm so frazzled and distracted. I'm going to blame the coffee. But it's nice to have friends that can watch me do this and see me be frazzled and distracted. One thing that you don't have to do this. I think it would be fine if I hadn't done it, but it is there for a reason. But the little switches, thanks, Ron. The little switches do have two nuts, and one of the nuts goes under the board. It goes on first so that you can set kind of the height of them and make sure they feel supported against the board. So really, I should have put a nut on each of these mini toggles first. So we'll do that now. And there we go. Oh, you didn't make the Turing, but you made the microphone. Okay. Oh, and a drive. Cool, cool. I think, is that similar to what's in this kit in the amp section? I think I read something about that in the documentation. Oh, I think I checked how far down these are supposed to go, and I think I just reefed them all the way down, and it seemed right. So I'm not super worried. Yeah, okay, that's what I'd read. The amp is the micro drive, and yeah, those two circuits. I'm excited to test that out. I was able, with actually Phil's advice, to pre-test some of this because the L6 Max that's to my right here, that's my right? Yeah. The L6 Max can handle Eurorack level signals, especially with the pads on the 4 channels there. So I was able to test the output of the oscillators and the filter without needing this mix section that I am building now, which was super handy because it means I know that at least the stuff I've already built before this stream works. So if anything doesn't work, it's probably what I'm doing while I'm talking to you. So we can troubleshoot. Hopefully we don't have to, but you never know. Okay, we'll try this again. Slot this stuff in. I've got something that's out of position a little bit, so we'll do that again. It went in so nicely the first time. There we go. Okay, now I can put those nuts back on the potentiometers here, just loosely, just in case I have to take them off again. But it just holds the board in place, so now I can solder the rest of these things. And normally with pedals and things I'm confident in, I will just wing it and I'll solder whatever I feel like, and I know how I'm doing with those. But with a kit like this, it's my first time building something like this. I've been really following the rules on, or the suggestions from Tom Whitwell's build video. And I watched some of that in advance just to make sure I wasn't going to miss anything in this. So, yeah, I think that's been helpful. What I'm going to do to that end is I'm going to flip this over once I get just maybe one more of these little guys in here. Those won't really matter because they're not really stuck on the board very well yet. But flip this over. We'll take a look how we feel. Hopefully you can see that okay. We're looking okay with the line is nice and flat and parallel compared to the rest of the boards. Everything looks pretty good. We'll worry about the LEDs after. That's why I have the tape on there. And I'm not worried about anything here. Everything looks to be sitting nicely. So I can go ahead now and solder just one leg of everything so that everything's stuck in there. Oh yeah, I probably won't do the calibration on this stream. I looked into it. I watched the calibration video, and my understanding from yourself and the video is that you don't really need to do it immediately unless you're really working with, you want accurate pitch signals. But I figured it's kind of a process. I'll let people watch another video where someone knowing what they're doing does it. And I'm probably just going to do a simple patch and test some stuff here on this stream. So I'll just go ahead and tack some things in. So we have one leg of everything ready to go here. I'm not going to worry about the LEDs yet. Like I said, we'll want to handle those specifically because you want those to be in the right position. They're kind of tricky if you get wrong. And I've done it already once in one of the other boards. So hopefully that means I won't do it with this one. One thing that's cool as well that I was reading about in the documentation as I prep for this stream, if anything else, you guys being here and watching me do this made me have to learn some things in advance. So I appreciate that. I really felt like I had to go through all the documentation so I knew later what I would be talking about when I started patching it as a test. So I did read through a bunch of stuff, and that led me to realize that it makes sense, but the board's labeled so well, you could pre-connect a bunch of these, and they're switching jacks in most cases, if not all. So you could have it semi-modular, really, if you had a patch you just always wanted to start with. Oh, and yeah, okay, calibration is automated now. That's excellent. That helped me out in my desire to do it. But yeah, so there's certain things, little Easter eggs on this board, like you can connect a couple pads and that changes the resonance of your filters, I believe. There's also a bit of, you can do some things that if you want to, that give you a different character, which is kind of cool. I'm not advanced enough in what this system does yet to know what I want from this yet. So I'm not going to pre-solder anything. I'm just going to leave it. And I imagine, yeah, the normaling points. Did you use any of those, Phil? I imagine you didn't. I would think in my case, I thought about it and then I thought, well, I don't want to forget the ones that I did and the ones I didn't, and why, when you're trying to chase down a patch, why something's making noise that you can't remember. Yeah, cool. Stock seems to me the way to go. Okay, so I've almost got one item in for each. I believe I have one leg in of each item. Everything looks good. We'll test that I can turn all the knobs well. Nothing's rubbing in a way I don't like. Everything seems okay. So at this point, oh yeah, there is some existing normaling. That's right, with like, I believe the ring mod and FM, I think, if I remember correctly, which is kind of cool. So at this point, what I can do is just go through and do the rest of these connections because I feel good about everything. Sorry, I'm blowing into the mic because I don't have my fan on. It is kind of, I was saying earlier off the top, maybe some of you weren't here, but I was saying that one thing that's exciting to me about this kit in particular is the community. And Phil is part of that community. So I believe Phil's already made a card of his own that you ported mutable instruments grids, if I remember correctly, which is super cool. So you can use the cards in the computer module to basically become anything related to what the community has coded or what you code if you're into that or can do it. So makes it super fun. It can be a different system every time, regardless of patching. Like the same patches with a different computer module would make a completely different system depending on what you've loaded in, which is very interesting to me. Oh yeah, okay. So there's the list of the normaled stuff that comes out of the box. That's very handy. And it'll help when I go to do a first patch of this stuff too, because you'll hear me take advantage of some of those normaled items because I actually don't have a lot of cables yet. That's one thing I will say that I wish the kit, being a kit that's really handy for people in their first modular system, it's disappointing to me that the kit doesn't come with any cables, even a couple to kind of get you started. It comes with the cables to connect a pedal to the send and return, which is very cool. But I do wish it did come with some kind of simple patch cables for using the system and at least testing it when you're done, because it's kind of a draw for someone's first modular to do a enclosed system or standalone system like this. And it's kind of a bummer to have to hunt down cables as well. But between a couple friends, I do have a good deal of used cables coming my way this week. So we'll be able to steal the ones from my Pluto for now and test it out in a second. And while we're doing this, maybe, Phil, if you're still out there, maybe you know if someone wanted to get into this as a coding challenge to make cards for the computer, what would be, is it C+, or what would be the language you'd want to learn to do that? Maybe someone out there knows. I think I saw in the documentation there were a couple different languages you could use. But I used to do some very light front-end developer work, and I wasn't very good at it, but it's always something I've been meaning to maybe get back into to a degree, not front-end, but with all these projects that I'm either testing or buying, it'd be nice to maybe know a bit more about how to take full advantage and customize them via code. In any case, I'm just going to keep chatting here while I fill in all these solder joints. You can probably see why I didn't want to do this, more of this kit live, because it's fun, but it's tedious when you get to just the soldering up the joints part. There's not a lot of excitement or intrigue in that. It's kind of just careful repetition. Okay, C++, Arduino, and Rust toolchain. Interesting. There's some talk of doing some Rust conversion on the Deluge firmware to make that potentially run on Rust as well, which I don't know anything about Rust, but people are very excited by that prospect. So I'm curious about more of that. But Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll pick your brain about how I can get up to speed on, whether it's learning enough that then I can use something like Claude to help me out, but not just be slop, or doing something stupid simple that just makes me feel good, and then I just use other people's pre-coded cards instead. But yeah, it'll be fun to try something anyway. Okay, we're getting there. The only tricky solder joints here, aside from, I don't think I mentioned it earlier, or maybe I did, but the trickiest soldering on this whole kit was the SD card slot, which is a series of tightly packed little joints there. But otherwise, it's the most annoying part to me are the larger connections for the trimmers and potentiometers, because they're just a bit bulky and they require more solder. And I actually don't know that they're connected, or they may be grounds in some cases, but they're more to keep things stable. But they're just a bit annoying to me anyway, because they require more solder and they just bigger holes to fill. Yeah, okay, C++. I've been curious for sure, but we'll see if I started doing to do some Python courses at one point, and then never got anywhere. And then same with, I never even got very deep with JavaScript, considering I was a front-end developer, but, like I said, I wasn't a good one. So, but we were joking on the Deluge Discord today about why I'm doing this, because they were making fun of me for going down the rabbit hole, and they'd never see me in 5 years and I'd be broke. Because that's the story of Mudular. But part of it for me was the Deluge has CV and gate outputs, and I just never use them. So I feel bad having things there that I'm not using. So here we are. Gotta, buy something that'll help me make use of that. That's how they get you, right? I'm gonna clean my tip here for a minute. Oh yeah, so Python could be handy too, but not as handy maybe. That's interesting. In any case, I should put some actual effort back into maybe get coding. Aaron's here saying it'll only get bigger. Who knows? Maybe this will be part of my next RPM challenge. I think other than Aaron here, I don't think anyone else is really. Well, Phil's done a bit of that before, but. Every month there's a listening party for the tracks that everybody made each month, and Aaron always has the auspicious I guess it's just his lot in life to always go first because of his name. They do it in alphabetical order, so he always kicks us off but in good standing too. Like, it's always a fun jam to start with, but it's no pressure. We're just going to always start with you every time. Okay, I've got a couple I've missed here, so we'll just go through those. Then we'll do the LEDs, which, like I said, are just a little trick, but the tape does most of the work. And yeah, okay. And then I'll show you another tool that I use to check my work. I'm not too worried in this case, but grab my nerdy glasses. So I'm wearing glasses right now that I never really wear unless I'm sitting at the computer, and they're helpful to a degree, but what really helps are the magnifying glasses. These are like jeweler's magnifying glasses, and they have different lenses you can put in at different magnification levels. So I can put these on and then check my work, make sure I didn't miss anything. Hard to put on over a headphone strap, but and they have a little light on them. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I can now stare in magnified glory at my shoddy soldering and see where all the cold joints or anything I've missed are. Like, I'm pretty sure I missed one right there, and we haven't done the LEDs yet, so I'm not going to get too ahead of myself anyway. Yeah, that little header is tricky, right? That was definitely the hardest part of this kit. Okay, I feel better about a couple of these joints now that I've reflowed them. But let's do the LEDs. Oh, I missed this whole toggle completely. That's fun. There you go. And half of this one, okay. Well, always good to check your work. Put on your glasses. Okay, let's take a look at the LEDs. Again, I appreciate you all being here. Hopefully it's not too boring. I get told sometimes that I have a lovely radio voice, so maybe that's entertaining enough for you, and you can just sit back and relax with a glass of wine in the bathtub. But appreciate it. Appreciate the support of a crew of people watching me fumble around my solder. It'll get more fun in a second when I can turn this on once these LEDs are done. So what I'm doing here is taking a look at, oh, nice, listening while you're driving home. Hopefully I'm like a calming radio host to abate any road rage. So yeah, I'll use the tape to press the LEDs forward a little bit. And now it might have been easier to have done the LEDs first on their own, but in Tom's video, I believe he did them all together, and I felt like if he can do it, I can do it, you know? So I'm going to make sure there's good contact with the tape there, but they're not poking too far out. And the same with, oh yes, this one poked through the tape, which we don't want. So I'm just going to make sure the tape is nice and firm there. Poke our LEDs through. Hoping again that I put them in the right orientation. It's very well labeled, so if I didn't, it's no one's fault but my own. And then now I feel like I can feel the tips of the LEDs just enough. I'll do one leg on each one as per Tom's video recommendation. I think I put on my radio host voice. You're listening to DJ Baymud in the afternoon. What would I play? Probably play all your music. If you actually, yeah, I should do a shout out to what you guys all make. Like Ron has, was it Constellation Project? Is great stuff. Pretty recent album, if I recall, as well. Phil's Nautical Artifacts is very, very good stuff. Remix album coming out soon, I hope, that I'm part of, which is fun. And then Aaron Paris is, yeah, also under your own name. I think that's on, is that on Alone Tone, Aaron? I think that's where your stuff is. I know you can find the other two, Constellation Project and Nautical Artifacts, on Bandcamp. Soon. Yeah, still waiting on that one remix. That's the way it goes, though. But yeah, some great diverse tunes from the crew here today. If you wanted to check out each other's music, that would be a lovely thing for the community of Baymud friends. Oh yeah, Subvert. I just started with a Subvert account as well after you mentioned it a couple times, and I was able to get my first Baymud release, or my recent last year's Baymud release up there. Mental Clutter is now on Subvert, so I'm going to check that out, and I'll probably put the folky thing, Patient Whales, that I've been working on that should now be done. I'll put that up there at some point too, because I think I finished the last track. I actually snuck it on Bandcamp yesterday, if anyone wants to take a look there. Oh yeah, am I allowed to do that? Can I post links in the chat? This is where I need the extra set of hands. Just gonna get these LEDs in. Okay, I feel like I can take this tape off and we can see the reveal of how we did. Those look good. Gotta remember, I gotta hold it so that people can see. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with both of those sets of LEDs in terms of their placement. Now, I need to trim the LED leads. If I had an extra set of hands and wasn't so far away from my keyboard, I would definitely search up. Oh, thanks very much. Thank you. And do you have a project as well, Parm Digital? I can't remember what your project is. Be cool. We could make like a Friends of Baymud mix pack. But yeah, there's a new Patient Whales track. I keep saying I'm going to do the last track, and I keep making another last track. So it keeps getting a little longer by one track, and I think I'm finally done. So 11 total. Speaking of done, I think this module is done. I'm just going to check it out. Oh, right on. Undercover Hippie. Sidetrack. I remember that. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Okay, there you go. Everybody in the chat has a music project that I should be linking to, which I'll figure out how to do. But it's slow going. I just figured out how to not be vertical on live streams. So, you know, baby steps for a little bay mud. I feel like I got some flux on the board I could remove here. I might clean up this board when it's all done. Like for now, for this stream, what I'll do is I'll solder one more item, the contact mic, and then I can test it because at that point, everything's done. Bay steps. Yep, pretty much. Story of my life. Maybe that's my next album. Bay steps. But sometimes what I like to do is use an old toothbrush and some 99% isopropyl alcohol and clean the flux off of circuit boards. I usually only do that if it's something I'm building for someone else or really gross. But there are a couple extra little flux blobs there that I could this doesn't look too bad. Okay, so the last thing to solder, and I could trim probably a couple of these a little lower. Some of the legs could be trimmed a little lower, but I'm not too worried either. But the last item to solder is the contact mic, which I've taped out of the way here as per the video by Tom Whitwell, who's very good at making these because, as he said, he's made a good number of them by now. And he did say this is the only tricky part where he hasn't really found a good way of doing this yet. So what I'm going to do is use a pair of needle nose pliers to get the slots in there. Breadboarding is something I've got to get back into. Hey, Brian, by the way, thanks for joining. Bit Commander 3. Ooh, okay. Bit Commander octave. So that's a 3-octave pedal? Nice. Okay. I have a single octave pedal I keep meaning to build, but I never get around to it. But yeah, pedals and breadboarding are very rewarding entryway into DIY for sure. Okay. Welcome as well. Thanks for joining. So you got the computer module. So you have the computer module on its own. Do you have this workshop system as well? Because it's very cool that you can get the computer module separately now, which is awesome. If I had a system, which I never will have a bigger system than this, I promise, I would get one of those for sure. Right on. So you've got a bigger system with the computer module in it. That's very cool. That seems like it's very smart of them to have released that separately. Just struggling getting this little guy here. Let's do this. I don't normally have shaky soldering hands, but I think you guys are making me nervous. Live stream. Look, Mom, just computer. Yep. There you go. Take that to Eurovision Song Contest. Oh, come on. This guy just wants to bend the wrong way. Yeah, so many cool programs. I keep taking a look in the Discord for the workshop system about all the new programs that seem to be getting made or released or being worked on constantly. But I'm trying not to get too sucked in because I haven't even turned mine on yet. Okay, I feel like we're close. We're going to get this. Yeah, there we go. Power of positivity. We manifested that. Now I'll just solder these final two connections. I did one of those things today where I was pre-testing some of the boards I had built, like this amp, and I didn't really realize, I forgot that the contact mic wasn't soldered, and I just kept smacking the board thinking, why is it, something must be broken, it's not working, oh no, have I made a mistake? And then I remembered I had not soldered those two connections yet. Okay, so I'll trim those a little bit because they're hanging off the board, and now I can I guess I can save you all. Yeah, we can QA yours live. I guess I can save you all the boringness of connecting or putting all these jacks on because that would be very tedious to sit there on the stream and watch me tighten jacks. But maybe I'll do a couple just so they feel a little more snug. And like I said, I have these socket wrenches, plastic guys, that are great for helping me with this without scratching the faceplate or whatever. So highly recommended. I'm going to try to 3D print a couple more with better quality filament because the one I made isn't holding up super well in PLA. Yeah, 56 Thonky nuts coming right up. And I've been trying to nerdily get these all. This one isn't even the right one. I'm using the wrong one. That's why it's not going anywhere. There we go. I've been trying to get these all to sit facing the same way, but that's a losing cause when it comes to the Thonky nut detents. So we'll leave that there like that. I'll do one Thonky nut so you can see what I do with the tool. I mean, it's not exactly exciting, but get it going there with my hand. And then this tool, which was posted on the Discord for the workshop system, comes in two parts. You print the handle in PLA or whatever you want, and then you print these inserts. And I printed this in PLA, and you slot it in, and it gives you little nubs to grab onto the detents so you can turn the Thonky nut. My print didn't do super well. The top was kind of wonky, but it still works. And I found already in only getting about this far with tightening the jacks or the nuts, the little insert was failing. So I can see why it's an insert, not just the entire part of the tool. But then you can just use it to tighten up. Actually, that just pushed all the way in. You can use it just to tighten up pretty easily and then replace the insert when it starts to fail, which mine has. So I'll print another couple, and I'm going to use PETG or PETG next time. So Phil, I'll print you one of these. But yeah, so this tool's already pretty much failed enough that I'm going to have to reprint the insert. But it is very handy, and it should work on my Pluto as well. Okay, so I feel pretty good. I'm not going to make you watch me do a million Thonky nuts and switch jacks and things like that. So now what we'll do is plug it in to the board. I've got the knobs as well I could put on, but some of them are press fit, some of them are not. So I'm going to leave them for now. But the power supply board is right here. And as I mentioned at the top, the beginning step is to just put the header separators in or the spacers in. Now, I think the reason why Tom did that is because he used this then to solder on. You can put it on this way and do all your soldering like this and everything stays nice and supported. Whereas I was just kind of Wild Westing it and just putting it on here and it was fine. But now I can do this and carefully connect the 4 sets of header pins here. Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. Looks pretty good. Okay, connected. Nice. Okay, so now what I'll do is, where did I put those little screws? I have there we go, a little button. I have some screws. I have a screwdriver. Who'd have thought that? Okay, Ron, nice to see you. Enjoy your pizza. Yeah, I saw you're not on Discord. I'll drop you an email. I appreciate you stopping by. I'll check out some of your videos as well. You're always doing cool stuff. Everyone take a listen to Constellation Project and check out Ron Cavagnaro on YouTube. I hope I'm saying your name right. I say it like that every time. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. Let's put some of these screws in, and then I'm going to plug this baby in. How are we doing for time as well? Okay, yeah, it's been a little while, so it'll be good timing to get this guy in. Thanks, Aaron. Yep. Fingers crossed indeed. I don't expect I'll be making beautiful music with this first test patch, but I do know at least how to get sounds out of it and maybe plug in one of the cards and get that going. Okay, we stuff is all plugged in there. Now, there are a couple ways to power this system. You have USB-C, and you also have a barrel connector for like a laptop power supply. In my experience, the USB-C can be hit or miss depending on the type of cable and how strong your power adapter is for the USB-C. Like most of them will give out 5 volts for phone charging or whatever, maybe 9 volts. So you have to make sure you have one that can give 15 volts. So with Phil's help, I was able to source this USB battery brick that can give 20 volts, actually. I think it'll actually charge my laptop, which is pretty cool, and work as a pass-through power adapter. So I know this works with the unit, which is great. And I also know that the laptop power supply I use to power my exhaust fan will also work with the unit because it takes the same barrel connection. So let's do the USB battery. And yeah, let's pray for no smoke. I tested the other modules earlier, so it should be fine. Now you see I've got 79% left on my battery. I'll press the power switch. So far, so good. Let's see. Yeah, our LEDs are working, which is great. That's good. I think things look fairly normal. Cool. Okay, now let's make some noise. No smoke. I'll turn some volume down. Actually, putting some pots on here would probably help me know where the volume level is. So there we go. We'll just pop this guy on. Maybe a couple of the other ones too. These are just press fit, which is super handy. Now I can go up or down pretty easily. Yeah, here we go. Ready? More fingers crossed. And like I said, I don't have any cables yet other than the ones that are part of my Pluto. So I did take those off, and I do have there's dual headphone connections here. I'm going to go out the headphones into my L6 Max over here. It's muted right now, so we won't hear anything, but I'm going to start just with sine wave into output 1. There we go. Let's see, we'll mix output 1 up a little bit, and then let's go here. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Oh, there we go. Okay. That's good so far. It's only in the left channel, and that's probably because of the way I have things connected and patched. I think only there's a stereo channel and a mono channel. Let's try going out one of the other channels. That's out. Oh, I had it panned. That's why. There we go. Look at that. We did it. We made something. Now we can make it more interesting. You know, there's FM. So we already know it works, which is super cool. And now we can test something more interesting. Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks, Phil. Took me a minute to notice the pan knob that I had there, not in the right position. Let's try one of the cards too for fun while we're here. What do we got? We got empty. Oh, these are all empty cards. I opened the empty card pack. I didn't open the card pack that came with it. Blank. Oh, I thought those were blank. Maybe I only have blank cards. Oh yeah, ring mod, right. Okay. Yeah. Now, interestingly, my card pack that came with this Okay, it's color coded. So red is the Turing Machine. In the videos, they have the name on them. So now I can put it here. Let's press. There we go. Now that's the Turing Machine. And now I should be able to patch a random to pitch. There we go. So we're already making amazing, beautiful music. This is it, my next album right here. What do you think? Mudular? How's that? Mudular coming up. That's my second channel. I can go to the filter. Resonance up there, a bit nasty. Oh yeah, we have the mic as well. Bay lips and blobs. Let's see. Let's go. Okay, so I can tell the mic's working. Now if I go out, let's just go out to output 2 here. Pan this one intentionally a little bit. Yeah, there you go. There's the mic. And we can use the L6 Max reverb. Oh, it's on my voice too. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas, as they say. Someone says sometime. We can even use these buttons. So I'm going to take a voltage out of here, and let's do that to pitch. Oh, what are we doing? There we go. So it works. That's, I think, all that matters to me at the moment is it works. Now the next steps would be to either put it in this case that the kit comes with, this handy case with a couple other, you can connect pedals with these cables, and you can power pedals with this cable, which is cool. So that would be the next thing, is pop it in there and test out all the other things, get my patch cables, which I should be getting on Friday. I also have the first set of RYK developer cards. So there's a tape delay and a sampler and some other things. And I also picked up a bunch of blank cards. So I have several options in terms of different sizes and colors of blank computer cards that I can use. And Phil, my kind, loving friend Phil, got me this Raspberry Pi debugger tool so that I can connect this if I want to flash different programs onto cards more easily without doing it the way that you would normally have to. Apparently this helps make it easier. I'll still have to get Phil to explain how that's going to help me again because my brain fried. But yeah, so here we are. We have sounds. Things are happening that I don't quite understand yet. Yeah, the RYKs are pretty cool. I figured because I was ordering this at the same time as they had come out already, I would just grab a couple and take a chance. And they seem like cool things so far. So we can have some fun. Turn down the FM. Ooh. Let's get the filter. Res. What are my filters doing? I don't know enough yet. There we go. We're into the audio range again. I can slow this down. Oh, the A slope into the filter FM? Okay, whatever you say. Let's try that out. Oh, and then trigger. I'm out of cables. I can do that again another way, another time. But for now, for the stream, for the sake of this stream, I feel like we've had success. I think we've shown that it works. There's a bunch of stuff we can do now. I have other things yet to test in terms of the computer modules. And hopefully you can all laugh at me as I say this will be my only foray into modular. I'm going to stick with this simple little Eurorack kit because it's standalone and try not to get sucked in too deep. But you all know how that goes when someone says that. So bear with me, fingers crossed. I appreciate you being here for this stream. You'll see more of this on the channel now. And if you ever have any questions about it or how I'm getting on with it, maybe I'll do some live streams where I do a patch from scratch, or maybe we'll see how this goes and it becomes part of, I have a live set coming up in Peterborough, Ontario in a couple weeks. And I'm sure you'll see Phil and I double patching our systems together at some point. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for joining and sticking around throughout the whole thing and chatting. I appreciate it. And go check out each other's music. I'll try to get better at sharing your links in the chat. I'll get Phil here to be my extra hands to run my chat moderation and my OBS. So appreciate it, guys. Thanks very much for sticking around. Some new music and other stuff coming on the way, and always more YouTube weird stuff with new gear and old gear. Thanks, Phil. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to have some fun and mess around with this, and I appreciate you all being here. Thanks a lot.